if you want to really get to the bottom of it, you need to learn to focus on the body, on the relaxation of your muscles. Observe how when you don't like something, you immediately create wrinkles here. You immediately get concerned. Your facial muscles are tensed. But you never observe. It's like you almost operate on as a remote control. Your consciousness is elsewhere and your body is disconnected. Now, what is spiritual state of enlightenment? It's a total connection of the body and the consciousness where you're fully in there. So you are at all times aware of your toe as much as of your finger, as much as of your pelvis at the same time. So how can you not be authentic? What's true spirituality is not what we think, is not what we are taught to or conditioned to believe in. It's something else. It's that something that cannot be expressed is at any point you are aligned and expressing your natural state. Now you may ask me, but what about mentally sick people? What about like if they start screaming and all? Why we have to look at why have they become that way is because their suppression level reached unprecedented and completely cracked that open. So now they run around in a dysregulated way and expressing their authenticity, which is now corrupt. I mean, it's not corrupt, but it's kind of it started being expressed in a kind of dysregulated, dysfunctional way. So they scream, which it means expression, but in a way where it starts creating dysfunction in their life, misalignment, because we still have to be aligning with our circumstances or with the societal norms in a way, but still in a way where we don't betray ourselves. Now, a dysfunctional person has maybe overstimulate their nervous system to the point where they no longer understand any norms or align with the norms in that authentic way. So I'm not saying to start behaving completely immorally or abnormally, but still I'm saying to stay true to yourself, meaning that when you feel angry, you can still express it, even if it's where in a constructive way. For example, you piss me off. By doing this, what you're doing right now, you're pissing me off. Like, I haven't gone out of my, normal state. I just said exactly what you've done. Let's say, or when people do something, you ask them, why have you done that? Why have you done that? The person normally who is also having, again, issues with self-regulation, other issues, the identity corruption, they will start going into defensive ways. They'll start maybe yelling, depending on who you're dealing with, right? But again, you may still be calm and angry at the same time. You can say, I'm so angry right now because of the way you acted. So you call out people, but you're true to yourself. You are not backing off. You say, we need to change it because this is not going to work, right? Without having this afterthought, oh, what if they think badly of me? Let them. So the authentic state doesn't have afterthoughts. For example, you give a donation, okay, you've given and you forgot about it. Or you give a donation and, oh, have they seen I've put this donation in a donation box? Different, same action, different context. Authentic, and the other one is questionable about authenticity. So authentic people have no afterthought. The more you live in authenticity, the more you exist in a thoughtless state where consciousness operates beyond thoughts. But yet you're very deeply aligned with two fundamental emotions, which are the emotion of creating boundaries and or contraction of energy, and the emotion of expressing energy and giving, which in human context or in human language would be expressed as empathy or compassion, or basically extending your energy outwards. And the energy of anger would be actually contracting that energy, meaning you express that you're angry, but in reality, you're contracting that. You're establishing boundary. You're not giving anymore to that until, let's say, you resolved something, right? So when we become aware of our psyche, of our consciousness, of everything that we represent, because consciousness is not separate from emotions and feelings in the body, but we tend to separate it with our mental construct. And that's why we are only partially authentic, if ever at all. Many people are not even at all, because the conditioning and the programming is so severe that their nervous system is only taught to spike in particular ways or operate in particular ways. So to return to the true authentic being and spirituality means actually that what I mentioned, returning to your emotions, feelings, processing them, and learning to feel again instead of judging feeling for being a weakness, judging authentic expression for being a weakness, condemning certain areas of life for being a weakness. Because in creation, these ideas of strength or weakness, or being strong or weak, being good or bad, are very, very conditional and tied up to the human context, for us at least. I don't think they exist in an animal kingdom or anywhere in creation on any level or niche, according at least to my level of realization and understanding. So what are we trying to do here? We are trying to reconnect with the body, where when we spot the anxiety, we're not running away from it. We're sitting in it. We are not looking for mentally or, I don't know, logically explained reasons for anxiety, because anxiety is the sign of growing pain. What is pain? Is a severe loss of energy. So whenever we feel these feelings, right, at first they appear as restlessness, anxiety, and then they grow into pains or chronic pains. It's because these emotions and feelings have never been processed, accepted, or addressed and released. So the spiritual practice is that of a processing and releasing at this point of time. Most of the people have mental imbalances, physical imbalances, all kinds of spiritual imbalances because of these unreleased pockets of energy which are stuck in their body, in their energy body, right? So instead of looking for a logical solution, we need to spend time of just being. The more you allow yourself to just be, instead of escaping, say, into constant activities or something else, entertainment, you are staying with yourself. No phone, just you and nature. Not running away from life. You can be around people, but you are not just observing people as if you are more superior, from a superior standpoint. No, you are observing and processing your own reactions. For the first time, acknowledging these reactions. Not like brushing off or sweeping under the rug. For example, someone yelled at you and maybe your mind says it's unjustified. How do you feel? It doesn't matter what happened. How do you feel? What reaction has been triggered? What has risen within your body as a feeling? This is exactly that which you didn't process during your childhood, let's say. When your mother yelled at you, you're like, yeah, my mom is in a bad mood. So you explained her whatever anger or expression of self at that time. You probably said, yeah, I must have done something that displeased my mom. So how can I please her back so that she's again smiling? But you never processed what you felt, how your space was violated, right? So we're returning to that point of processing that which has been unprocessed. That is a spiritual practice, real one, painful as hell sometimes. And the deeper we go, the deeper the return, the more you dive into the level which is beyond your relatives, immediate relatives, it going into your ancestry. Because now you're accessing unprocessed emotions of people who are physically not even there. Those violations, suppressed feelings of your maternal bloodline, of all the men and women in there. But men and women are physical forms. We are speaking about spiritual substance of this people which was left in your ancestral pool. It's like energy clouds, processed or unprocessed information. That is also not you, but you have to process them at least on some level to realize that is still not me. Because once you process them, you are able to let go and realize this is not my energy information. So authentic state eventually is realized as a peaceful natural being, but only when all these other things are processed. Because when you're boiling a soup, you see the foam first before it becomes that tasty essence, right, of a soup. You are going through the process of boiling that stuff, dealing with the foam, adding certain things, removing certain things, right, before you actually can enjoy the essence. The same way is how we are boiling through this life. Right now, when I'm raising all these questions or points, your emotional state, you don't know how to, your whole being now is like, what is going on? Kinda, right? You're lost. And you have so many questions because the only way you use to process this reality is by questioning it. But the world of authenticity is not that of questioning, is of feeling. And for you, feeling means literally a collapse. It's a collapse of your conditioning and of your system. Let's not call it the death of an ego. It feels like that's it. It's the end. It's that pressure that I haven't processed, but now it's been pushed and I don't know what to do. It's almost like I'm nothing. I haven't developed. I haven't evolved. Like it's all connected to where have I reached? What's my achievement? And every time I'm facing this being called, let's say, Jivan Mukti, I go back to the point where I almost feel like it's all for nothing. But that's, you see, that's also an illusion. But it kind of triggers the points where the flow, it's like, I don't know how to explain for your logical mind. It's like you have air outlets, and many of these air outlets were blocked by something. And now you're just poking through and this air just going through. And suddenly you feel like, oh, it's too much air now. And, because you're used to the suffocated state, even though it felt as home, comfortable, a little bit of a stuffed air home. So When there is too much air, what happens? If you inhale too much oxygen, you'll be hyperventilated. That's what it is. When you get access, even within yourself, through other, let's say, external factor or yourself, with a higher frequency, with a different type of frequency, let's say, forget about higher, with a different type of frequency that points out your authentic self, all that, which is that rubbish, which is that foam, which is that blockage, it feels like, oh my God, it's so much, I will never, ever be able to get out of this. No, you will, because it's just a shift. Because when the air comes, it blows in all directions and pushes all these little blockages out. You get a bit hyperventilated, but in this moment, your awareness is kind of like somewhat able to elevate and observe everything at once. And what do? You're like, okay, what is the action plan now? What is the step by step? I need a solution, right? Constantly returning yourself into the body. Point number one. Having that moment when you just sit with yourself, you say, I like to be alone. Of course, because this is the only way when you are out of the people-pleasing mode or out of this constant action mode. Certainly you need that recuperation. So the avoidance or the, let's say, you develop, say, avoidant attachment style. Why? Because this is the only way to be with yourself outside that people-pleasing mode or constant action mode. Yet in that mode, you're just relaxing and regulating, but still avoiding facing all these emotions that have been awakened during the moment of interacting with people, because you're like, oh, it doesn't matter what he said. It doesn't matter what she said. It doesn't matter what happened. But where does it go? Because you can sweep it under the rug in your mind, but energetically, where does it go? Because energy, E equals mc square, right? It doesn't go anywhere. It always is present. So you can't just get rid of energy. You have to either transmute it into something else or else. It piles up as a pressure. Because energy can function on multidimensional level. It can be of different frequencies. It can go into subtle level or into the physical level. But fundamentally, the amount neither increases nor decreases, at least within our human context, within our understanding of reality, and within the physical space that we know of, right? Certainly, we can transmute energy and add or subtract if we, let's say, we're aware of subtler levels, right? But it's a different point now. The most important is to learn to remain in the body with these feelings without thinking it's a weakness, without feeling, oh my God, this feels like death. Yeah, okay, stay with that. Instead of again trying to escape and avoid and run into some, okay, I need to now wash, I need to do laundry, I need to clean, I need to. So all the time you're running away. But this energy is staying. It's constant because it's not addressed and it piles up. It's better to do laundry with like 5 items than with 50, isn't it? So what's the solution? The solution is learning to relax your facial muscles first, your shoulders, watch your posture. Sit by perceiving the body. Actually, you can do, if you want, in terms of yoga, the Shavasana, the dead pose, where you're just laying and from top to bottom, you are relaxing each and every part from the forehead, eyebrows, cheeks, like relaxing everything, skull, the back of the neck, the chest, the back, all parts one by one. The more you relax, the more you observe and notice the natural breathing, which start also subsiding the more you are decreasing the brain waves. But you don't need to watch it. Oh, this is what I have to achieve. No. You need to focus on relaxing the body and feeling it. Then suddenly your leg, maybe there's a leg tremor. This is where the nervous system starts discharging these suppressed energies. The same applies when people have, let's say, through drug-induced state or some kind of other state, trauma, connection with their subtle bodies, so they call it awakening, and they start having these movements, which they call kriyas, but these are not real kriyas. At first, it's just emotional outbursts where the body just releases nervous tension or some kind of tension within the system, which has piled up. And that's why they look like almost like dysregulated, mentally imbalanced expressions until they become subtle and flowing and more looking like a natural flow of energy within the body, or not at all there, just because you become very peaceful and content and very grounded, right? Again, going to the body of the water, soaking your feet, say in the ocean and the salty water. Very, very good. Feeling that feeling in your feet, connecting the sun, the body, the ground. Having these moments where you just sit, let's say in a public place, be it a public park or cafeteria, and yet you still are comfortable by just remaining in your stillness, enjoying that cup of tea or something else. Just being comfortable in stillness and tranquility. People will experience kriyas or different kind of tremors until the nervous system has unloaded all that stuff. And then they will definitely align with the meditative state that is more peaceful, where the body is no longer moving in absorption. When you're facing people, someone attacks you, you are feeling. So instead of, again, immediately shutting it down, feel it and say, listen, you disturbed me, or you said something that is really offensive. But before you even attack anybody else, because they say they displeased you or hurt you, first you need that moment, be it 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, several days, to process what has just taken place, what has risen within you as energetic flow, input. And you think, okay, it's an input from outside. No, it's actually a release from within. That being is the trigger to weed it out. This is the real spiritual practice. Someone looked at you, they trigger something, and you don't know why. So the practice is to be more in tune with who you are as an energetic being or substance, rather than a reactive being or substance, which is kind of like a shell. You cannot, I don't know, start kicking your car because it doesn't drive, because you simply need to go into the depth of why it doesn't drive. Maybe you didn't fuel it, or there's something else. So we are dealing with the fuel and the oil, and looking through all these other pipes and everything before we just start kicking the car. Hey, drive now. No, because you understand there is a mechanism, same as our body. It's a bio-spiritual mechanism. We need to learn to relax so that we start feeling pulsation of our glands, so that we start perceiving, oh, actually, when I relax, I have this tension in my throat because you don't express things. I have tension in my solar plexus or lower abdominal, wherever you identified. Okay, you sit with it. What is it? You may also do affirmations in terms of you affirm to yourself, not reprogramming through words, but just saying, I release that tension, because the body understands simple commands. I release the tension out of my body, out of my throat center, or out of my heart, out of my solar plexus, out of my lower abdominal area, out of my pelvis. Okay? And this is the way to go. So, whatever you're doing or not doing on the level of superficiality, where you are thinking, okay, if I stay in this job or that job, all of that is just a reflection of who you are at the moment. The moment you start changing and shifting onto a different level, suddenly you are in a different part of the world, maybe. Or because that will reflect your state of consciousness. Now, again, just running away physically to a different part of the world or city, or I don't know, even the community or job place is not going to change anything, because you haven't addressed the essence. It's like you replaced your car and put it into someone else's garage. The essence is the same. It still doesn't work, or it has to be fixed, right? So most of the people are still so superficial and so on a surface level that they think that by watching different shows, by changing workplaces, by replacing their partners or going for other partners, something is going to change. What is the common denominator? What is that frequency that you keep on attracting to yourself or being attracted to? Is the same one. If you haven't changed or shifted the frequency, the reality fundamentally will remain the same. So you may say, okay, it's up to you whether you want to change your job. The question is, how do you address people? How do you address feelings? Do you allow yourself to feel life, or you just do life without feeling? The question is, do you change partnerships? Do you start superficially pleasing people again to attract certain types of people? But are you connecting to them through the essence, or again through modalities? Nowadays, people learn how to psychologically trick anyone into friendship or relationship, how to psychologically manipulate people. Okay, you will manipulate, you will achieve a short-lived result, but you will never be attracting authentic people, because you haven't, and you will never be satisfied because you haven't tapped into your own authenticity. You haven't realized who you are. That's why you're just driven by the trauma of being alone or lonely. So you start acting by the rules. Okay, if I do this, if I please people that way, if I provide for them, they'll be with me. But what is their interest? So that's why you can attract people who are after your money, after your status, but not after your soul or authenticity, meaning in a good way after your soul. I mean, they are not connecting to your soul. They're connecting to your shell, because you played by the rules, because you did everything to attract the beings who are as logical and as much playing by the rules the same way. You can do relationships, whether it's work or personal, by playing by the rules. using the principle of life, which is called energy exchange, but your energy exchange will be superficial. One part is providing materially, or both parts are providing on certain level materially, and on certain level, like have good time, spending these things, or talking in a certain way where they don't cross any lines or create conflicting situations. This is absolute absurdity. It's absolute shallowness of relationships. But when you really show, I don't like this, but it doesn't mean that I have to break a relationship with you if I don't like a type of behavior that you exhibit. You know, now we are speaking authenticity. Now we are going into authentic modalities of being authentic, expressing yourselves authentically, and still appreciating the connection between the two beings, whether it's work-related, business partnership, family relationship, between, you know, parents or children and parents, or romantic partners. All the same. Is the balance achieved through energy exchange on a superficial level or on an authentic fundamental level? That's always a question. And it's a decision. So the deeper you tap into yourself, the more you will filter out artificial relationships. So this is how it works. As a conclusion, I stirred some energy, as always. But I'm sending you a lot of, actually, I'm not just speaking, I'm actually working. And you're like, oh, she's seeing me now. No, that's your child. That's your inner child who hasn't been validated with the feelings, like meaning your negative emotions haven't been validated. Your anger hasn't been validated. Like, what happened? Or why are you feeling irritated? No, nothing was. It's only, you know, you shouldn't be irritated or angry. Now, I'm validating your anger. I want you to feel that and process and say, I release it. It doesn't mean you judge it. You release it. I release all this anger. You can do the same exercise. Right? If it helps you, because the body saying it and commanding it is just helping. It's not that the action actually does, but it helps your mind to release these things. I release it out of my throat, out of my heart, out of my solar plexus, so on and so forth. I am safe even in anger. I'm safe in love and I'm safe in anger. But what is love? We can't know what's love until we also tap into anger, because then we kind of, when anger reaches a certain point, then we start feeling compassionate to those people we feel anger to. Because you could have felt anger to your mom, but you suppressed it. And so it never actually reached, it was guilt rather than love. So now your idea of love equals guilt and shame. Then you start overdoing and overperforming and overgiving, but you never know what love is. So if you want to know love, process anger, release it, become compassionate to your own inner self, inner child, inner essence. Then you start saying, yeah, my mom suppressed it. You become angry, but she was also a suppressed child. Then compassion arises, empathy arises. The moment this have risen up, naturally you may cry, you may start feeling comfortable releasing your tears, comfortable feeling all these things. Maybe you won't be able to release tears at the first several months by trying this, but at some point it will happen. And it doesn't mean it's weakness, it's actually true strength. For a man, it is true strength. It's this reconnection with your blocked side that expresses feelings. And then the real healing takes place, where you come back to the balance. You're no longer angry. You're no longer overgiving or over compassionate or over empathetic in moments, because this empathy was triggered by super guilt and super shame. you are balanced. And this is where we're aiming at. So we'll be closing this cycle. And then once you kind of feel this balance, you realize what your true feelings towards life are. Where do you actually want to be, with who you want to be, but on a more authentic level, rather than, okay, if I give you this cup, you gave me another cup. Or if I give you this piece of matter, you give me something else, and we're even Steven. That is not real energy. If you really want connection, community, love, true, mutually beneficial, but on all levels, relationships where that work, you start expressing yourself authentically. Start listening to other people's feelings too. Then it's when everything changes. And you start feeling suddenly at ease, relaxed. It's okay to be me, even if I'm angry, even if I'm unhappy, even if I'm depressed. Not being afraid to show vulnerability. That you can come and say, guys, I'm today really moody. But how can you say even like this? You have to always be like this and perform stoic, unemotional, not. So I'm not saying to become a fool, to become like vulnerable with idiotic people who potentially can take advantage. But again, it's your own. Sometimes you just can just say, yeah, today I'm not in my best shape, and it's fine. But I am courage, I am joy. To feel safe in being softer, in being more connected to what you feel, who you are before what you're going to do and where you're going to go and what new spiritual practice you're going to learn. You are a very sensitive, loving child who has been suppressed and conditioned. Can we restore this child back to its authenticity? Can we go back to that kind of natural expression, if it means a boy who is crying, a boy who just doesn't feel like doing, if everybody conditions him to do, please, go, act, a boy who may not do anything today, just rest, and he's still good enough. Please really, really contemplate these points. And you will arrive at that beautiful child that you have forgotten and numbed, kind of. Because authentically, from the childhood, we are free to express all emotions, yet our parents or system conditions us to numb them. And then you think it's strength. No, it's a big weakness. Reconnect with your inner child, because it's still not very late to do so. Actually, it's always the right time. So, and then once that's there, you'll know the purpose, you'll know the soul purpose, because your soul that has been conditioned will release the crust and the light will shine, and you will start attracting different type of people who will resonate with you more. Yet your light may also attract people who will not resonate, but that's where your awareness and experience comes into place, how you filter out your connections, right? What you're connecting to, what do you value in relationships? Do you value the material aspect, or you also see the soul? But how can you see the soul if you don't see your own?